Welcome to episode 19 of the Blokebusters podcast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Brian.
And today is June 19th, 2013, and we will be talking about the film Man of Steel. Very quickly, just to get it out of the way, obviously, if you want to follow us on anything, we have the Twitter, which is @Blokebusters. We have Facebook, which is .com/Blokebusters.
Tricky.
Yeah, I know. And then the email, which this one actually does get a little tricky.
Slightly.
Yeah. Blokebuster Podcast. There's no S at the end of Blokebusters there.
You can put it there, but you're not going to reach us.
Yeah, but we're not. At gmail.com. And then we've also got the contact at blokebusters.me. I'm fairly certain it's ME. I will double check that before the end.
It is ME. It's not ME. I
yeah.
can confirm that for you, sir. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm the one that set it up, and I was completely blank. Okay.
Yes.
So any comments or feedback or anything at all, just send it there. And if you are so inclined, feedback on iTunes would be lovely as well.
Yes, absolutely.
We tend not to mention.
Rate us on iTunes. Well, please.
Yes. Nothing below 3. Come on.
Please, yes.
Let's keep those ratings up there.
I'm comfortable with you lying if you're comfortable
Oh,
with
yeah.
you lying.
Yeah, just as long as we get more fans, we don't really care how we do.
Yeah. All right.
All right, so the synopsis,
The synopsis. All right. A young itinerant worker is forced to confront his secret extraterrestrial heritage when Earth is invaded by members of his race.
Ooh.
So that is, I guess what Man of Steel is about.
Yeah? Yeah,
if you're going to boil it down to a sentence.
Well, yeah, I'm surprised the word flashback isn't in there, but
So,
I'm sure we'll get to that.
I'm sure we will. Yeah, so let's run through the cast list here real quick.
I'll give you the nuts and bolts
yes.
Let's, and then we'll get to the cast.
Let's get the money out of the way.
Yeah. Director, Zack Snyder. I'm sure everyone knew that already. The budget was $225 million, and as of 2 days ago, it has made... Gonna guess this is worldwide again. $226,086,000.
Almost back in the black.
Yeah, they just. I mean, obviously the budget doesn't. I don't think it includes the marketing and stuff. No, that might just be for making the film. So, yeah, might have a little bit.
Sometimes they do include it in there. I'm not sure how they. Depending, but
yeah, I know
they're gonna make more than their money on DVD, Blu-ray, and on demand.
Yeah, and of course it's nowhere near being finished in the cinemas yet, so...
No.
So yeah, it's got a little while to go, and it will almost certainly make at least double its money back.
I would hope so, yes.
Yeah. Alright, so yes, jumping into the cast list then.
Alright.
Shall we go with Superman himself?
I guess
first?
we will go with Kal, yeah.
Alright, Kal-El, Clark Kent, Superman... I must say, very briefly, I do like the fact that they don't really call him Superman that much in the film.
Yeah, like twice or something. I don't know. It's pretty...
Something that really wasn't needed
at
that point. Yeah, a guy called Henry Cavill?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if... I'm hoping I'm saying that right.
Mm-hmm. Not Carvel, not the cakes.
No.
Cavill.
Yes. Now, I don't know too much about him because I looked up his stuff. He's not been in too many films other than he was in Stardust very briefly.
Apparently.
Yeah. And, I've not seen much of what he's done. Although he seemed like he was doing a fairly good job of what he had there, I think. I enjoyed the way that he treated himself as Superman.
Yeah.
I liked that sort of perception.
I know it's and it's not a perfect film, but I'm saying that somewhat lightly, but it's not particularly great film, The Immortals, but his performance is well worth watching, and I'm glad I did. I believe it's still on Netflix, but my friend Dustin, who is the huge Superman fan, we might get into more of his opinions later, he kind of urged me to watch that to see who would be playing Superman, and like a year ago or something. I'm like, okay, and I was just like, no, that movie looks stupid, and it is kind of dumb, but at least but he was great. I mean, did what that kind of role was called for. And, so so knowing what he was about kind of made me a little more at ease. Because when you have an unknown, I mean, it has to be an unknown playing Superman because otherwise you're just going to associate them with their other roles. And they gambled and lost on the last one. Brandon Routh looks like Superman, and that's about it. That's where it ends.
Yeah. Although I must say, with his role in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, kind of parodying that. This is why
Well,
I liked that.
Yeah.
So yeah, if he had to star in that film,
I just hope he enjoyed his experience making Superman, because he's never doing another one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, yeah, might get back on that.
Yeah.
Might beat that horse a little more a little later on. All right, so moving on to
moving quickly.
Miss Lane.
Miss Lane, we have Amy Adams.
Much better than Kate Bosworth again.
Yeah, can't say that she did a bad job at all, and also...
I mean, doesn't look like it's weird, because my first introduction to Superman was actually the television show Lois
Would
and
that be
Clark.
the Dean Cain?
Yes, Dean Cain. Is that Dean Cain? No, so like I always associate Lois with a brunette.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, oh, Amy Adams. So I'm like, but I got relatively used to it pretty quickly, and
Yeah, I sort of resign myself to the fact that almost any character, when it comes to a Superman film, they're just going to take some artistic license with what they look like, which is slightly odd because, I mean, if you go with the comics, obviously they are very definitive looks, but pretty much anything other than Superman, they tend to just go, oh, the hell with it.
Yeah.
Give it to whoever.
And she was like the right age, which was my big issue with Kate Bosworth. Was way too young, cast way too young for Lois.
Lois,
She's
at that
tiny,
point, yeah.
and too tiny, and to have like a kid that was like 5 years old, and oh, hey, you've been married for like 4 years or 4.5. Wow, you really waited, didn't you?
Yeah.
I waited and waited for Superman, yeah, for 4 hours, and then I just had sex with his next closest guy, you know. But yeah. Stupid movie. General, who do you got next? General Zod?
I have Mr. Zod.
Mr.
Yes.
Zod, alright. Michael Shannon.
Michael Shannon, yes.
Yes.
And again, unfortunately for Mr. Shannon, I don't know too much of his back catalogue, but I thought he was fairly good in the film.
Yeah,
I enjoyed his Zod.
He's been someone I've followed for a few years now, and I really hope we're going to see a lot more of him. He's, I think, a terrific actor, and
if this film is anything to go by, yeah.
If you're, into the HBO shows or those episodic television, which is so good in these past few years, check out Boardwalk Empire, because he is awesome in that. And decent role in Premium Rush, playing opposite Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And
I still need to see that film.
It was pretty good. It was entertaining. Kind of like one of those real-time movies, like Phone Booth or something, So always keeping or Run Lola Run or something, along those lines.
Which I'm really annoyed it was on Netflix and then it disappeared.
Oh,
it's not
Premium
come
Rush
back
was?
yet. No, Run Lola Run.
Oh, Run Lola Run.
I wanted to rewatch
I have that on Blu-ray. And then Take Shelter, which is I highly recommend, which she stars in that and is just a wonderful observation into a man descending into dementia. Or not. But mostly yes.
But maybe no.
But maybe not. Okay. So yeah, the Shannon, and who you got next?
Next I have John Kent,
Okay.
Mr. Kevin
You got
Costner.
John. All right.
And this is obviously one of those actors, you've seen him in something. No matter how little you think you might have seen of him, you've seen him in something. And does a fairly good job. I mean, the only thing I would say is he only seemed to
have one thing to say, just to say it a lot.
Yeah.
No one can know who you are. And next flashback, no one can know who you are.
Yeah, there was actually one thing that I had with this film. It was they were giving the same message again and again and again.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that obviously you're seeing how Clark, or however you want to call him, Clark, Cal, whatever, is reacting and why he's choosing what he is, but it does seem to me that every single time he makes a decision, either just before it or just after it, we see a flashback which explains exactly why he's making this decision.
Yeah.
So, cannot fault Kevin Costner for the stuff he was given to play, but he did it well.
Put Kevin Costner in a movie, I will come. Yeah. I will, if you cast him, I will come. All right.
Very briefly, I just had Martha Kent and Diane Lane.
Who surprisingly took me a minute to replace, which I feel very ashamed in because I'm very familiar with her work. And I'm like, I know her, but I guess compliments to the makeup artist, aged her wonderfully.
Well, what clicked in your head? Like, I know her from, what was it?
You know what? I don't know, if there was a certain role that caught, but I'm like, oh yeah, Diane Lane. I was just like, yeah, it was Outsiders. Yes, I was like, Outsiders. She looks like she did 40 years ago in The Outsiders. No, Pony Boy. Yeah. Did you have anyone else down? We have not gotten to Mr.
Morpheus yet.
We didn't get to Jor.
No, that was going to be my next one. I just wanted to cover Morpheus in his role as a newspaper editor.
His daytime job as editor of the Daily Planet.
Yeah, it seemed interesting choice. Like I'm most familiar with him from Lois and Clark, so that's sort of like fairly no nonsense.
That name is going to drive me nuts.
Yeah,
whoever played him, but I can picture him.
The fairly no nonsense newspaper editor that's just I've got to run the deadline here, and so forth. And then Lawrence Fishburne, who of course is Morpheus. I've also seen him in film Event Horizon, like all of these sorts of films, and then he's in this, and so it took me a second to really think, what is it? And then I saw how he was doing it, and especially later in the film when you start seeing how much he's trying to look after his staff. I thought it was...
I realized after the fact that it was kind of... Like, I thought I was surprised by the choice, but looking backwards, I think it was a welcome relief because that editor position has become a stereotypical role now.
Yeah.
In like the Spider-Man films where it's just yelling. And, old Perry Whites. And then you have, even in like House of Cards, the editor in that is just this bigoted sexist. Get out there, and just get out there and do your job. I don't care. Cry.
Yeah.
And it was nice to hear the sweet sounds of Morpheus.
To hear him being a more sort of down to earth.
I'm trying to free your mind, Lois.
I do think that J.K. Simmons should play every editor in anything.
Okay. I got something a little later, who should play every role, but okay.
All right, fair enough.
All right.
All right, yes. Mr. Jor-El himself, Russell Crowe. And
thank God no singing. Thank you, Russell.
He was in it a lot more than I thought he was going to be in it as well.
Well, his consciousness was in it a lot more than we thought.
Yeah, definitely.
As my friend Allison and I were discussing on my drive here, Ghost Dad. He was Ghost Dad for most of the movie.
Yeah. I need to see that film again as well.
I'm sorry to not mean to bring up the great works of Bill Cosby, but beat bop Ghost Dad. Yeah. All right. And so he was awesome. Of course, it's Russell Crowe doing great things as Russell Crowe, things he should be doing. And with the advice and it's.
Yeah, he gave the role a lot of gravitas. So he was able to bring that to it, which is what it needed. Really.
Which, I mean, coming from the people that have played, Brando. And even, didn't Superman Returns use Brando's voice, if I recall?
Probably.
They did something with it, I don't know. But, that's a tough line to follow. But, definitely one of his performances that I think of when I think of Russell Crowe, very, I don't know, it's very Gladiator-esque for me. Commanding and present and confident and, knowledgeable, insightful, just all of that stuff.
I definitely think this will be my sort of, if anyone says Russell Crowe film, this will now be...
Oh, it's always going to be Gladiator for me.
Well, I wasn't a fan of
or The Insider, which catches a lot of people because that's one of my favorite films, but...
Well, fair enough.
Great,
I guess Russell Crowe films, for me, they tend not to be the sort of films that I gravitate towards. Nothing against Russell Crowe, but the sorts of scripts the sort of scripts he seemed to get are for films that I'm not that drawn to. But I'm glad he was cast in this. I'm glad I saw him.
I think you got one more name there, and then we can
move
forward.
Although there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to say it.
What do you get?
Ayelet
Zura, sure, as Lara Lorvan, right?
Lara Lorvan.
Yes.
When you hear the name, you think, well, who the hell is that? And then it's like, well, that is Jor-El's wife.
Yeah. Yes. Women's live as at Krypton, and you don't have to take the last name of your marriage partner. But, Kal-El's biological mother, of course. And I think, wonderfully played for the time she's in it.
Yeah.
But I just wrote down that I think all mothers dying on doomed planets should be played by Winona Ryder. That's all I just think that should be her typecast now. Very specific typecast.
Yeah.
But
mother that you see for 5 minutes.
I was this whole time thinking like, that should be Winona Ryder. That's the planet's falling apart all around her, and
that is almost sort of becoming a trope in these big films now. Because obviously you've got Spock's mother from first Star Trek, and now you've got showing the actual demise of Krypton and Kal-El's parents. So I wouldn't be surprised if Optimus Prime's mother ends up dying in the next film.
Oh.
It's like, Mom, no! You see a flashback to his youth.
Mm-hmm. Turns out, she just goes in the junkyard. Oh, that'd be horrible.
Of course, the old robot chicken. Yeah, you have cancer. Transformed into a little
I
common.
hate you, Michael Bay. Okay, I just had to get that out there. Not that I should say that every podcast. It just should be required. All right.
That should be our sign-off every time. And as always, I hate you, Michael Bay.
Michael Bay is a shithead, to borrow from Douglas movies. All right. All right, let's get into the actual film itself here. The first thing I wrote down was I loved the opening. I thought it was a fantastic intro into the film itself. Got the adrenaline pumping. And definitely, it was long. It was probably a 15-minute prologue or so.
Yeah. I mean, really.
It was probably a whole reel, I'd think. Yeah,
close to a reel. I mean, obviously they had to tell the story of Krypton. Yeah. Without doing it the way that every other
because I hate the origin stories with the babe in the basket and that's knock on the door or hey, there's the baby.
Well, and then there's the other films that done it. I think it was you see him in his fortress
bastard in a basket. Sorry. Okay, go on.
You see him in his fortress of solitude, as it were, and he then learns the backstory. But we don't necessarily have that backstory, and then it's told to us or shown very briefly or something, whereas this was treating it as a linear story, which is, well, for the most part, this was treating this bit as a linear story, so you got to see the backstory before it then kicks off into Superman, and which I thought was a really good way of doing it. I'm glad that they did do it this way rather than your average flashback.
Well, yeah, they had to do something different.
Then again, given the number of other flashbacks in the film, that's probably why.
Do we want to go into that right now? I guess we can.
That's since I mentioned it twice.
Yeah, I think I am apparently alone on this. Although I think it was excessive. I did like the juxtaposition. I did like the editing. Although you pointed out is like kind of foreshadowing of the lessons that were being learned and then applying the lessons. I thought it was nice seeing the flashbacks. And seeing young Clark, seeing kind of Smallville type stuff. Yeah. From the show. I don't know. I wasn't a big watcher of that, but I like my buddy Dustin, who's a big Superman guy. He said it was too much for him just because it was like going from, okay, young Clark, now slightly older Clark, now even younger than the young Clark, and now even older than the old Clark, and then present. And like just too much. For him, which I'm feeling you're on the side of that.
I thought by about the fourth flashback, I thought it was a little too on the nose. Because, as you said earlier as well, it really is the same lesson that he's learning every time as a kid. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't use your powers because someone will figure out who you are. And then you can't use your powers just to save someone because someone might find out who you are. And the government, we thought they were going to come and get you, so we've been hiding you. And the funniest thing I found about all this was that he's thinking back to this as he's wearing the cape, doing the stuff in front of people. So he's sort of remembering the things that he grew up learning while he's breaking the one rule that his dad keeps telling him.
Well, I think Jonathan Kent knew he said there would be a time when but it just wasn't yet. It just wasn't yet. Just not yet. Just not yet. Yeah.
When is it? Well, I'm not going to tell you.
But so I think he knew because, like you said, you just have to decide what kind of man you're going to be. Yeah. You're going to change the world for good or bad. So he did know he would have to embrace it at some point.
I did like that his father and
adopted father,
was willing to think of the fact that he might not turn out to be a good man. Yeah. Because he says a couple of times, whoever you turn out to be, good or bad, you're going to change the world. So, obviously, if he's being bullied and then he's thinking of revenge, he's thinking, well, if my if he now goes down this revenge path, that's what it's going to be. Yeah. He's going to be Zod, basically.
Yeah, but I did like the payoff scene with all those lessons with the tornado.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't think I need to say spoiler. This is a spoiler show.
Yeah.
But with, him choosing not to save his father. Yeah. His father did, hold up his hand and,
His father is implying, like, don't you dare save me. This is...
Yeah.
And
that was a little teary. Yeah.
And of course, the dog was fine.
The dog, yes. Yeah. Well, you can't hurt animals in movies. No. you can kill Field of Dreams, or Dances with Wolves, but not a dog.
Well,
but not 2 socks.
No.
To bring it back home.
Yeah.
Or was it 4 socks? Was it 4 socks?
I don't
know. My mom would be the one on that one. She's the Dances with Wolves expert.
I'm sure my mother would have been to me as well, but not knowing that. Uh-huh. I will say, when it comes to animals in films, apparently you can do whatever the hell you like to cats. There are plenty of films where cats end up being like tortured or sacrificed in something or whatever, and it's like you never hear a single complaint, and yet someone injures a dog's paw. It's like, we're going to edit that scene down.
Or gremlins. You can throw those in microwaves. They don't care.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, those were the bad gremlins.
Okay, that was the new batch. I'm sorry. All right. And we've completely derailed.
Yeah. So bringing it back into society here.
We went from gremlin... Okay.
Yeah, and I do feel that they were going too much on the side of, we're going to show you exactly why he's acting the way he is, or why he's about to act the way he is, for too many of the similar problems that he was running into. Obviously, they wanted to show Clark growing up.
Yeah.
But again, they didn't show that in order either. It was young-ish Clark, older Clark, younger than before Clark. It was
But then how do you think it would have worked if it was just straight continuity? Would it have played as well?
I think it might have. All they would need to do is maybe change the dialogue a little bit in some of them. Obviously, the last one had to be the last one.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
I wasn't as bothered by it as it seems you were, my friend Allison and Dustin. I'm like, well, you guys don't know what you're talking about. It's a bit much, but I still enjoyed the flashbacks. I like the flashbacks.
No, well, that's the thing. I don't think it necessarily took away from the film experience. I just thought it was, again, we were talking about it a little bit on the last podcast. I thought it was a little bit too dumbing down, as it were.
Okay. I think, though, I'm willing to accept a certain amount of that because I'm going to draw a parallel to Batman Begins as another origin story, and I'm looking at this as setting up a series of films, and you have that in Batman Begins, a lot of back and forth with the trial of his parents' killer, and then, his training, and then going back on the plane with Alfred, and then we're back in the League of Shadows, and then so you have to set up what world you want to portray, and so there's going to be a lot of exposition. There's going to be a lot of dialogue and setup.
I get that completely. I just think the way that Batman did it different to this film was that they weren't necessarily tying it together with what was happening. Yeah. It was, you got to see Bruce coming back and he was going to kill the guy and then that guy was killed instead. And it's more of a progression with that film rather than just he's about to make a decision.
But my point being, both are slower films in this series.
Yeah,
assuming there will be a series of Man of Steels.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be at least
if it makes money, it's gonna. Yeah, but I would think the next one would be higher paced, faster paced,
probably
more at stake,
Oh yeah, they'll have set up the world. So.
Exactly. So I'm willing to forgive a little bit of that, and I don't think there won't be as many flashbacks, if any, I would think in the sequel.
No.
But all right, let's
maybe the one.
Let's move on to. Let's see. Did you have a talking point you want to get on to? I know I have one, but
it was a point that I know was a big problem with people when they first saw the images. The new suit.
I love the suit. Yeah,
I thought it made so much more sense. I mean, I understand that the traditional image of Superman is the bright suit with the bright yellow underpants. And given the world that they set up, that suit makes perfect sense, and I think looks better.
It looks great, yeah. And there have been so many variations on Superman stories, and not even being a fan of the comic books, I know this from my friend that, you know, he's died in different ones, he's worn this in different ones, he's been evil, he's been whatever, you know, it's... Yeah. So what, you know, it's... The writers imagine, you know, that's how he wanted to portray him, that's fine. And he looked good. Yeah. If he looked stupid, then I'd have a problem with it. But...
Yeah, I know that the big outroar at the time the image came out was the fact that he didn't have the underwear-esque thing in that area. Yeah. Just because he almost always seemed to have something like that there. But no, this is a suit just from his home world. I mean, this is...
Well, this... Okay, it segues into one of my slight plot holes. I think it's on... Well, I know Jor-El and definitely General Zod. The armor? Why do you need armor on an indestructible being? Multiple layers of armor. And yes, the breather. Okay, you need the breather for different atmospheres, but other than that, self-generating or creating helmet, whatever it is, why do you need multiple layers of armor when you are armor?
It seems to me that, at least at the beginning when they come down... You know, they're still breathing in the Krypton atmosphere, so even though they're getting the radiation, they're not fully like Kal-El is.
But no, even on Krypton they're wearing it.
No, yeah, well on Krypton they're not superhuman, because they have that sun, they are just normal. Yeah. And then when they're under the younger sun, that's when they're stronger. So on Krypton it makes perfect sense, especially in a war setting. Okay. You're going to wear your armor.
Oh yeah, because but on Earth,
on Earth, after they realized what they were going to be like, I do think they should have just gone down to sort of more of a normal uniform, as it were. Right? The armor did seem a bit much. The only thing I could think of for them keeping it on for a purely visual aspect,
it did look good. Yes,
it looked good, and then it's easier to tell them apart because they all have slightly different armor on. True. So during the slightly faster scenes, you can kind of tell.
Dragon Ball Z scenes, yes. Yeah. That's where they're zipping around or Flash Gordoning everywhere. That brings me to the effects. I thought they were very, very well done. Yeah. I think it was effects heavy.
Yes, it was.
I mean, to the point where another explosion, you're flying through apartment buildings. Are these filled with propane tanks? Yeah. Like, seriously, he's flying through, like, they're flying through like a complex or something, or just like a skyscraper, and it's... Yeah. Like, are they all storing dynamite in these high-rises? They're not going to be explosions. It's just going to be broken glass.
No, yeah. That brings up something. There are two things I wanted to say. The first thing is the actual shots of him flying where the camera is kind of trying to move with him, like an actual shot might be of something that's flying quickly, where you might not get him in focus exactly. I enjoyed that, and it might only be because the show Firefly did exactly that. Okay, they had the sort of like, oh wait, we're not in focus. Okay, now we're in focus type thing on the shot, and I do think that's the way that things should be on fast moving things. I mean, I know that people pay for the visual effects and therefore they want to get the most imagery out of it. So you want to see this thing in sharp focus for the entire flying pattern of it, but I like the fact that it's got that sort of motion blur on it. You can't always see something like that. And so I think that was effects done well. Again, yes, the effects then got fairly heavy the further you got into the film. And the other point I was going to say was, obviously this is the spoiler for the very end of the film, when Superman's got Zod in the arm wrestle, and
I did want to bring this up
about
later, yes.
to laser beam this family, and this is when Superman's really getting like the problem of, I don't want to kill the last of my race, but he's about to kill these people. It didn't seem to be too much of an issue for him flying through those buildings and demolishing at least half of Metropolis.
Like a whole gas station with cars that were parked at that gas station. Those families did not live.
I mean, the complete demolition.
It cost like $400 trillion of collateral damage.
All those people that didn't get out of that building, he doesn't seem to be too bothered with Zod at that point. past the actual battle phase. It's just when he's got him and he's about to kill 4 people in a corner. Ooh, that's when the real...
I'm willing to give that a pass, but it's just destruction and it looks cool.
I do get that specific point. He's seeing him go against humans rather than fighting him in
Now,
buildings.
the bigger issue with that scene for me was, and my friend Dustin and I talked about this, is Superman killing. Superman does not kill, like Batman. In most imaginings, I will say, he does not kill. He disables, disarms, prevents, saves, but he does not kill.
Yeah, I will say, I haven't read much of the comics. I don't know most backstory. I do know, however, that there have been times, even in the standard canon of Superman, and it's so few and far between that most people don't really think about it, and therefore they don't think it happened. There have been times where Superman has had to kill to put the fate of most of the people on Earth ahead of this one person, and the only way to stop that person will be to kill
in
them.
in that scene, he was put in a situation where he had to, because
Zod would never stop.
Any other time his morality is such that he will sacrifice himself or his own, but
and at least
it was still shocking to me when it cracked the neck.
Of course, you then think, so someone could snap Superman's neck if they had enough force behind it.
I don't know.
So he's not as immortal as you would think.
No, apparently not.
I mean, obviously, pollution and no sunlight will drain his powers or whatever, but still,
All right. I don't know. What else you got there, Paul?
All right, well, the only other thing, it was a bit of a sticking point. It might just be that I'm not remembering it correctly, and it's a completely random part of the film, but the point when they're bringing the gravity bomb thing into the other craft to make it go into the, what's it called, the zone that they were in, to take it back there, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So they go, and it's just been activated, and Lois is inside the aircraft, and the field goes around the aircraft, and she's clearly inside the field, and she's sucked out of the aircraft just before it goes into the thing. How was she sucked out of the aircraft in the middle of an intense gravity field?
I don't know, sir.
It's just one of those things of I understand they had to save Lois Lane.
Yes.
But at least have her fall out just as the guy hits the thing, so she falls out just outside of it. Because we can buy that she's falling in the air for like 5 extra seconds. That's something in this film you can probably get away with. But I thought it was so odd that she's inside this gravity field, about to hit another gravity field, and it's just, I'm falling out of the aircraft now.
Yeah, I think Superman allows for a little more acceptance of plot holes because it's a flying alien with laser beam eyes.
Yeah.
And once you accept that, you kind of have to take the whole kit and caboodle.
Well, I'm always interested in that because I think that, because obviously you have this thing where it's a plot hole in a plot hole in Transformers. There's a plot hole in a film of giant alien robots fighting on Earth.
Yeah, well, there is. I think I know what you're going to say. Once you accept that reality, or once you accept the rules you set up, you have to stick to those rules.
Yeah, playing within the rules of what you
like
have.
Allison and I were talking on my drive over here that we were talking about the most recent effort, Superman Returns.
Yeah,
and the complete lack of respect for rules, where like any other day a mustard stain-esque thing of kryptonite on his t-shirt would kill him instantly.
Yeah.
But somehow is able to lift up an entire freaking island of the stuff.
Yeah, as long as it's not poking through that rock.
Yeah, he can just lift it all up. But yeah, you put some kryptonite relish on a hot dog and choking and he's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
so that kind of just complete disregard of rules you've established.
Yeah.
And so
that is, again, another thing that I liked about this film is that they didn't say that kryptonite kills him or that the atmosphere on Krypton would kill him. It just makes him human. Because I always thought that was really odd. I mean, maybe it's the way that they explain that it's the radiation from the sun mixed together with the rock and it mutated in space, and then by the time it gets to Earth, it's somehow poison to this guy. But it's just radiation taken from his home sun and his rock from his home world. There's no reason, really, that it should be something that will kill him if he stands next to it.
Yeah,
it should just make him normal.
It's not his garlic and he's a vampire.
Not the silver bullet too well.
Yeah.
It really is.
And can I say the other Kryptonians or Kryptonitians, whatever you want to call them, really underuse their powers. It seems like, oh yeah, I have laser beam in the back of this weapons, this bag of tricks. Yeah. Oh yeah, I have frost breath, which he never uses. Nah. But it seems like Superman was the only one using the laser eyes. Well, he was the only one flying for a long time.
Yeah.
And they're just strong and fast.
Yeah.
You all have the same abilities.
I understand that he trains himself to use some of his powers, but he does it very quickly. And
it's General Zod.
This is
military general, which he even says, "Where'd you train on a farm?"
Yeah. I really thought he would come back with, even like, sort of, yes. And he just, but of course he just said, "Where'd you train on a farm?" And then it's just sort of an uncomfortable silence after that. So, I'm just going to go here now.
Call him a redneck.
It really does seem, I would have, the second I find out that I will have these powers, get out of the ship and go and do something, I know that you're an army, but you are now a demigod. Go and do something, for God's sake. It's really underused. The fact that everyone on that ship is now basically immortal.
True, yes, which,
obviously you see the second in command starting to use her powers, and the other nameless guy who's just in that suit the entire time is really strong, but that's about as far as it goes with the exception of Zod.
True, yeah. I did want to say, bringing it back a little earlier in the film, which I don't recall ever seeing in any Superman films before, is him honing his powers, like learning to listen to one voice, or just like how the tapping of a pencil or the ticking of a clock would just drive him insane. But learning to control that, and I thought they did that very well. My friend Allison pointed out a nice little plot hole though. How was Lois Lane able to sneak up on him when he was talking to Ghost Dad? And then she gets attacked by, flying droid. Yeah. Wouldn't he have heard her footsteps coming?
You'd think.
You think? Because wouldn't that be in his defense? Like, what if that was Zod sneaking up on him? What if that was a threat, So that's a good point.
Well, Zod wasn't there at that point.
Well, you know what I meant. A threat. A threat to his existence. Or a threat, in general.
I did think that at the time. He gets on, and then Lois
Lane gets the drop on him. After photographing him from 3 miles away. Yeah. And like Allison said, her first thought is, why isn't he wearing a freaking jacket? I've got 19 freaking parkas on. Yeah. But I wonder what he's up to. And then she's there 2 seconds later. Yeah. Climbed over a mountain, over a crevasse, did 25 hours. I do it at 19 on when I exaggerate. Hours and hours of rappelling and climbing, with her crampons. And then she's, I'm on the mountain. Here we go. So she's an expert photojournalist and an expert teleporter, apparently. Yeah,
and it's another example as well of I've just taken a picture, let's just zoom in on this amazing detail for us.
Oh, yeah, I don't think they have a 4,000 optical zoom, but...
It's better than the human eye camera.
I don't know. Whatever that model was, I know there was product placement, but they were going to sell a lot of those.
Probably.
That one had a little bit of problem with. I don't know. Also, let's just kind of flesh out as many plot holes as we can. Just they're fun, But another one of Allison's. Another one of Allison's was I think she said Jor-El had plenty of time to escape, which I kind of agree with. Yeah. There was a lot of time, and while, Mama Superman is clocking away on the computer, setting up Kal-El to go fly, plenty of time, and, I said, well, it served the story, he had to die. And she's like, yeah, but did he have to die like that? I guess that's a good point. But,
my only argument would be he wouldn't have escaped without making sure his son was off. So he would have waited till then to maybe then try and escape if they could, but obviously, with the exception of just saying, well, the sun wasn't gone yet, which, another thing, given how quickly an army apparently is brought together and into their ship, this has got to be the longest launching of anything on that planet. How long did it take him to do that?
I don't know. It was an awfully long time.
He was able to get the entire codex of the planet buried inside his sun quicker than that ship was able to fly.
He was using a dragonfly to fly around on, so he was using some old tech. Okay, Jor-El liked to keep it old school, didn't like to flaunt the new technology. Even though he's higher up. So she did bring that up too. Flying around on a big bug, while everyone else, he's the only one on that thing.
Yeah,
and everyone else has a super fast spspaceship. Flying around.
And yet no one can get him.
Yeah, well, still kills his damn. Dino, as his pet dinosaur.
Yeah. I will say when he calls the thing, gets on, just goes off. I had two flashes in my head. The first one was Avatar, and the second one is actually one of the Star Wars episode things when not Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan. I think it's the second film. He just jumps up on that thing and off he goes.
The thing I thought of was Lord of the Rings, the Eagles. Lord of the Rings. Yeah. But, I definitely thought of Avatar. I'm like, ooh, he's going to plug his beard into it. That would have been great. Just, yeah. Ow! My whiskers! Yeah. Yeah. So that, and then the 40-minute end battle with where seemingly with Zod and Superman flying all over, and like my friend Allison said, assuming they're flying more than just outside of Metropolis, because they're at a farm at one point. They're at, they're flying through everywhere, and like some kind of museum and all that, and and it's Lois is there in Metropolis, and they're flying all over God's green earth, and then they like crash into that like museum or whatever it is, and Lois is like in the doorway, hey guys, want some tea? Is she just going to try to kill? Is she trying to kill herself, or did they just actually double back around the world and they're right in that spot? What why is she there at that moment? But,
obviously she was saved, and then he was fighting Zod.
Yeah, I mean, does he have GPS in his brain of Lois Lane's location? I don't know.
I must crash us near Lois.
Still need to seal the deal on Lois. Yeah. Gotta let her see me being cool. Yeah. Other than that, nitpicking.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah. And the biggest one for me, before I launch into my rant, is the line, I don't know. I don't know if I got this exactly. I just think he's kind of hot.
Yeah.
Grown eye rolls out of my head. Oh, brother. And, of course, I saw this in a much more crowded theater than I like. And laughs everywhere. It's the funniest thing. And it's one of those King Kong beautiful moments that I refer to.
Yeah.
Where I think it's pandering. I think it's insulting to an intelligent moviegoer.
Yeah, that line didn't need saying.
And it's the lowest common denominator. And you see it coming. If you have, because it's just, there's the hesitation there.
Yeah.
And all if you want to go that route, all you need is just like an eyebrow raise or a wink or a, I don't know, but I think he's just kind of hot, superior officer, and they get in the car, woman. Yeah. Shut up, get in the car. Really?
I think it would have been better if
it stepped into Transformers world for me at that moment.
Take it up to that point and don't have her say anything. Just have her just kind of get a look, and then cut back to him and have him just kind of like nod.
I mean, she might as well have just held her forehead over her hand over her forehead and fainted. I mean, yeah. I'm gonna pull out the fainting couch. So that was the topper for me in just the ugh. It's got it. Every movie. I should just accept it. Every movie has to have that moment. But I don't know.
All right, so I know there was a rant you wanted to get to,
so
yes, we'll get to that.
One of Brian's famous rants here. Not on 3D, wouldn't you know it? Not for a change.
Right.
Oh, by the way, did you see this in 3D or not?
I did not. I didn't have the chance.
2D, just normal,
yeah.
Not IMAX?
Yeah,
okay.
I did see a couple of points where I was like, maybe they were going for 3D.
Yeah, I need to do the Rave Extreme Vision at some point, but I don't know. I'm like, but yeah. Anyway, not about 3D. This is about movie etiquette.
Okay.
Which I may have touched on why, like in the beginning episodes, why I'm not a huge theater goer.
Yeah.
At least not just because a large crowd's larger the crowd, the larger the chance of idiots.
Yeah.
And I won't go on popcorn munching or crunching, which, I'm going to focus on talking.
Okay.
Now, specifically, I have an issue with the theaters as well, because the theaters now, all they give a shit about is turning off your fucking cell phone. That's the only thing that can distract someone is your big stupid face lit up with a cell phone. Yeah, that's distracting, but it doesn't make a fucking noise.
No.
And I would rather have someone texting than... Which I was so fortunate to have sitting 3 seats down from me this whole film. This gentleman, I feel I have been there so I can kind of critique. He was a very large gentleman. Larger than I ever was, larger than you are, sir.
Okay.
Think comic book guy from The Simpsons, slightly bigger.
Ooh.
With a Superman t-shirt that was probably a XX, and he probably needed a 4X. So, and sitting there, and then his buddy's on the other side of him. So the guy's closer to me.
Right.
And running dial, it's like he thought he had been chosen to provide the audio commentary for the entire movie. And not once did anyone say anything to him, but the thing was, he was obviously a Superman nerd. Like my friend Dustin is probably very, very familiar with the Superman canon and all of the imaginings and all of the stories going back to the 30s, more than likely,
Yeah, okay.
And what's right, what's wrong, and all the different suits, all that stuff. But anytime there was something not in line with the canon, or he had no, they would never do this. Now, see, that's completely discongruent with, or that's completely out of line with Book 1, Volume 4, Book 16, where Superman, shit you not, this is what this kind of stuff he was saying to his friend.
Sure.
And his friend was, like, listening. And like, no, they would not do this, and we're like, oh, that's a wonderful homage to when Superman was doing this on Krypton, and oh, that's actually, that symbol there is, oh, you see that in the background there, yeah, and and like at the end, which he had a point, but shut the hell up, like when the little Clark is running around with a cape. Yeah, okay, how does he know he's going to be Superman?
Yeah.
But he's like, there's absolutely no basis for this in the history of Superman. That's ridiculous. And, okay, but that was an emotional scene, and you've stolen any of emotional investment I had in that scene away by you breaking it up with your fucking useless chatter. And
well, that, and it doesn't need to be a basis of Superman. It's a kid.
And I don't... Why is the $5... I know it was because it was a Tuesday at the rave. Why is your $5 worth more than my $5? Why do you get to talk and annoy everyone and we are all being quiet?
Yeah.
Why are you more important than all of us? What gives you the fucking right? And I don't care if you're saying what you've got to say is, I've been shot! Or...
Mr. President.
Or, I think the baby is coming! Or... The baby's been shot! Shut up. Just shut up and watch the movie. Sit there. I'm done.
Yeah, perfectly understandable. I more than agree with you there, and sort of fortunately for me, that I don't get to say it often, but fortunately for me, I am partially deaf. So when people are muttering around me in the cinema, I normally can't hear it. Unless it's loud enough that it's like, oh, that's actually quite a funny scene. It's like, yeah. Whereas my wife gets to hear everything that everyone is saying around her. It's actually one of the few things I find it difficult to zone out things around me and focus on one noise type thing if it's noisy, except in the cinema. And she finds it really easy to zone everything out except in the cinema. It's almost like with the lights going down, it changes our senses or something. But yeah, she's had numerous times where people are talking about what's on the screen and we'll leave the film and I'll say, oh, I liked it, how about you? She's like, oh, it really bothered me, I didn't really like it that much because of the people commenting on it. And my response is always, what people commenting on it? And so it's something that will just take you completely out of it.
That's not an experience I can go back to. I can never see that movie for the first time again.
Yeah.
Because I can go and watch it again, but I know what's happening and I know, I've seen it. So you're never as emotionally invested in a film as you are the first time. Unless it's one of those you need to watch again, where it's a mystery or Memento, something like that, where you really need to figure something out again, or it's fun to watch it again. The Sixth Sense, where knowing what you know, things like that.
Fight Club, stuff.
Stuff where you get to catch things that were laid in there for you, but you missed things like that. But other than that, I never get to see that movie again for the first time. I never get to when Jonathan Kent is choosing to die, and I'm starting to feel emotional, and then. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I cry at movies. I don't cry in life, but I cry in movies. And I get emotional and I tie into the characters. And I just clammed up. I was just like, eh. Yeah. I felt cold. And then again, at the end, when they're wrapping it up with the kid and the dog and, running around, I was like, this is really, and the music's really nice. It's a good score. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, no. So, theaters, put it in your multimedia. No talking. I'm sorry. Why is it just... I know we live in the smartphone age, and that's the big worry. But I would rather, like I said, have that on vibrate. Even on vibrate. Don't even have it off.
Yeah.
On vibrate,
that's what I do with mine. Mine's on silent, but it vibrates if it's important.
Yeah. So. But the talking, I cannot hear two conversations at the same time. It's,
Yeah.
It's one thing if it's an action sequence. It's still annoying. But you're talking through the dialogue.
Yeah.
Why are you there? Just no, because you're a Superman asshole, and you just want to rip apart everything because you think the best was all in the 1933 or whatever. When that was the greatest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They should have it that, let's say, the front 4 rows are for people that might be critiquing things or might talk during the film, and then have like a gap of 10 rows, and then everyone back here. These are the people that want to see the bloody film. And they will get to see it without hearing you down the front. And therefore he can sit there with his friends, staring straight up at the screen, complaining about it.
No, there just needs to be like microphones in the front of every seat, and if it picks up, I don't know, it just needs to hear human dialogue, human dialogue. Either like a very comical robotic hand smacks you, or pepper spray, or just a smack in the man region, something like that, which would cause more noise, but well worth it for me.
Yeah, just electric seats.
And I know people are gonna say, well, why didn't you do something about it? I'm supposed to go out of the theater and miss 5 minutes of the movie to go complain, and then make a scene with the person coming in and talking to the guy. And then the guy sits on me in the parking lot, and it's just not a good story.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is that,
And that's the thing as well. Like, and obviously, there used to be people that stayed in the cinema for most of the film. Obviously, they wouldn't be there for the whole film, but they're not ushers or whatever, but there are people that kind of stand at the side and make sure people are following the rules. And now it seems that no one ever bothers going in anymore. They're just standing outside the door when you go in and when you leave.
No. Yes, I was a projectionist, and part of my job was doing theater checks. And I had to, check every house. Yeah. And you go in there and you watch for that stuff. And I could watch from the projection booth, each window, and see, what's going on. And broke up some amorous activities on more than one occasion, which, sorry, fellas, it was the job. But, you got, it's a shared experience. It's not there just for you.
Yeah.
Everyone has paid their money.
Yeah,
it's like I would have, if I had waited for this movie to come out on demand, I would have had a much more enjoyable experience.
Right. Well,
but I saw it when I saw it, and I know it hasn't even been out a week, so that's why it was crowded. And but it seems even when I go to a theater and there's 5 other people in there, 2 of them are talking. Yeah, it's not just a numbers game.
Yeah, I got fairly lucky. The one I went to, there were maybe 10 people, including myself, in it, and
this probably had 60 to 70.
Everyone was spaced out enough that I think if there had been any talking, it wouldn't have been an issue. Obviously, I wouldn't have heard it if there was, but still, I guess this actually brings me to what I was going to ask you then, when you said that you had this little round to talk about. Would that then affect your rating of the film?
I can't separate it now, yeah. I mean, I can try to be objective, but movies for me are not just about watching it. It's about the experience you have watching it.
Yeah.
And it's about, I can rate a movie higher because I was with someone I loved, or I was with, I was sharing a movie that I love with someone that hadn't seen it. That's a movie-going experience. Even if it's a movie, if it's Fight Club or something, I've seen it 100 times. If there's someone that, God forgive you, you haven't seen Fight Club, because I'm not going to, that'll be an enjoyable experience for me with you watching that movie. And for somehow, if you don't know the spoiler, seeing it, and that's a great movie experience for me.
Yeah, there are several films that, like Shawshank Redemption, for me, no matter how many times I watch it, it's almost as if I'm seeing it for the first time again. I always get that slight feeling in my stomach when it's coming to the final night he's spending in Shawshank, and that's actually a film that I never spoil for people, because it's something I would never ever want spoiled for me, just because of how much I like it. But
I know there are people that surprisingly haven't seen that movie, which I guess they don't own televisions, because it is on every channel every day. That is accurate. Don't even check.
Yeah.
No, you know what I'm saying, though. Like I said, it's more than just the story. It's more than the action or the narrative or the love story or, whatever's going on in the movie. I can watch the best movie, but if I'm in a sour mood or something, then I'm going to look on that movie. Well, that movie wasn't that great.
Yeah.
So, whatever, Citizen Kane. My cousin had just died or something, the day before, and I was trying to, and I just sat there blank-faced,
Yeah.
So you never are going to go back to that movie and say, oh, that was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, Rosebud never going to mean that much to you.
Yeah, maybe your dad had just died in a horrible sledding accident. Oh, you bastards! You sick bastards! Why would you bring that up?
They would enjoy the end of the film, though, wouldn't they?
I don't know, yes. But, you never know what's going to connect,
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I guess, in a long roundabout way, it is hard to separate that, the experience from the film.
Yeah, I seem to be able to look at it retrospectively. Once I have a little time to think about it, I seem to be able to separate how I feel about the film from what I think of it as an art form. But yeah, I could see how, especially if you have a bad experience in the cinemas, you're not able to pay attention to all of the film, that it'll definitely be a problem for you.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder what your rating is going to be for this.
I don't know. And I think snacks should go away when the trailers are over. That's it. No more. Or only sell quiet snacks, thank you. Because the snow caps are the loudest goddamn thing in the world. Okay, lady, you don't... All right, just...
Yeah. Well, do what...
Popcorn.
Do what I do. I mean, I might have heart of candy today. I've got lemon heads I've taken to now. But what I do is I buy a carton of lemon heads. I then get a Ziploc bag and pour the lemon head into the bag. So therefore, the only noises are possible to sort of...
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, so you don't get the hard candy against hard cardboard noise. You just get a slight crinkle.
I know we're running long, but I have to share a quick story of my friend and I on a school trip when I think we're 16, went to Chicago, and for some reason, or maybe we were even 14, I think. Yeah. For some reason, they had to have activities in between the museums and stuff. For some reason, they thought it'd be a good idea to take a whole bunch of 14-year-olds to the ballet. Because we have respect for high art. 14-year-olds, they aren't sarcastic and cynical and snarky and don't know everything, But so they took us to see the Nutcracker. Right. And my friend Kevin, I love you, Kevin, brings in a 1-pound bag of salted roasted peanuts. Because it's the Nutcracker. He likes to hit it on the nose. Yeah. And I'd never seen a ballet. But guess what? There's no fucking talking. There's no singing. They just dance. Yeah. They just dance to music. And they throw people in there, and then they spin, and then they dance some more. But anytime there's a nice little throw or a catch or a spin, I guess the audience is supposed to clap. And we would crack the nuts, right? At every applause break. Crack the nuts, and then eat the peanuts. And get to intermission, and there is a pile of peanuts and dust all around our feet in this very nice opera house. And we're like, shit, because the house lights came on, and just kicking it under the seat in front of us. Yeah. And, intermission resumes, and we finish the bag, and that was a great way to enjoy the Nutcracker. It was the only enjoyable part of the experience for me.
I'd imagine the only better way would be to just take some walnuts and a nutcracker in with you.
Oh, gosh, yes, the actual nutcracker. Oh, that'd be really on the nose, yeah. But I just had to bring that up there where you said, opening the bag. But, yeah, we did choose, the right time to crack the nuts. nuts.
Yes.
All right, let's get to our Netflix recommendations and let these good people go.
Well, should we give a rating?
Oh, let's do a rating real quick ratings.
If we have to.
Real quick, yeah. Let's not go into long, drawn-out explanations. Let's just get the rating out. I believe you went first last time. I'm going to go ahead and go first because I don't want people to think I'm influenced by you or you're influenced by me. I'm going to go ahead and give it a... this may seem harsh, -2.
I can see it.
A -2. I mean, that's still like an 80% if you want to do percentages for me.
Yeah.
That's like a B, like a solid B for me. If you want to go comparisons or whatever, I will give Superman Returns like a D minus, like, or like a 5 out of 10, if you know something like that. You know, things I liked about it, more things I didn't, or almost as much, or just as much as that I didn't. But yeah, I'd say a -2. I think it was a good first time out. I'm interested to see where the story goes, and
as am I.
Yeah, and I don't think it was a terrible film. I think I was slightly swayed. I have a Rotten Tomatoes bias, I know, and I mistakenly checked that out before the movie, like 20 minutes before the movie, thinking I'd see something like 78%, 82, and it was 56. Yeah. I'm like, shit.
Well, if you go into it, it's 56 based on the top.
Is it on critics?
Top critics. If you have to go to audience, it's something in the 70s.
Okay. Yeah. I saw the critics thing. Yeah. But all right. So -2, and for you, sir?
All right. For me, I'm not going to give it too much higher. Actually, a -1.5.
I was considering that, but yeah.
Solid blockbuster. Looks to be a good start to a new Superman series. For me, the flashbacks were a few too many. Yeah. I thought they were going a bit too hard on that. A couple of the odd line here and like I think he's top line. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely a little bit too on the nose.
They did abort on the Superman line, which thank God they did that, because when Lois was trying to name him as all she gets is yeah. So I'm glad they aborted on that, but.
Oh, and of course, that's one of the ones they gave away in the trailer.
That was love them and hate them trailers. Yeah,
I really do like the trailers where it is you don't see as much as you think you do.
Yeah, or everything's like the first 2 reels or something. Yeah, and you're like, oh my gosh. Yeah. But so anyway, 1.5 for you.
Yep, I'll go for that.
All right. Let's get to our Netflix recommendations here.
All right. Who wants to go first?
I will go first here.
Okay.
It's not really... this is kind of intended to be sleepers. This isn't a sleeper because it's a highly regarded movie among critics and people alike. But it's an old film, very, very old film, that I need to
very quickly
check on because I forgot to write down the year and I want to get it right. I know it's 60-something here. 63. It's a film called Charade. And stars Cary Grant and 2 of my favorites, Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn. Love Audrey Hepburn. I mean, she's awesome in everything, and Roman Holiday, Gregory Peck, all that stuff. But Cary Grant is absolutely awesome in this movie. If you ever watch the films, he has just that very dry humor and very, kind of witty and just confident, but always has a comeback line for you. It is just full. It's action movie. It's a comedy. It's this woman's husband dies, and it's where is his money? Where's the treasure? And everyone's trying to find it. And Cary Grant is the agent that is trying to help Audrey Hepburn. So you think, but there are backstabs and betrayals, and then backstabs and then betrayals, and the enemies turn into allies, and the allies turn into enemies, and it's just all over the place. And it is just beautifully done, directed by Stanley Donen, and just. Check it out if you haven't. Don't be afraid of old movies. It is in color if that helps you make your decision. But it is such a great movie, and it's one I can watch over and over.
All right.
And so to you, sir.
Well, mine is a film only in the sense of feature length.
Okay.
It was released in parts online. It's called Video Game High School. It is something that I was saying to you before. If you are not willing to accept the fact that this was made by people who are sort of big online, for people who like to see that stuff online, for people who are into video games, then this might not be the one for you. It does lean heavily on the fact that you might have a knowledge of certain video games, or that you might know that these people are known for doing stuff online. You don't necessarily have to know who the people are, but that's the online bit is the essential thing there. And it's about a guy who, upon accidentally, killing a person online in a game who turns out to be the top-ranked gamer in America. He is given an invitation to join the video game high school, and this is in a society where video games is basically what's running the world. Like, everyone is playing video games in one form or another, and it's your basic sort of fish out of water type thing, and it's a really solid little piece that they put together. It's all their own money with Kickstarter, and the guy that made it actually put up something online showing you how every cent in that film was spent, which is, you know, something you never see. So, very good fun.
And I think rejected titles for this also were Virgin High School, and I got my ass kicked for Milk Money High School, which it was a little wordy. So I'm glad they went with Video Game High School. But
even if it is a bit on the nose.
Yeah. All right. I think that'll wrap it up for this episode.
Yeah, I think it'll have to.
I've been Brian,
and I've been Paul,
and we'll see you next time, folks.
Bye.